Yes, Iram students. So, in the yesterday's class, we have discussed about the meaning of demand and the factors affecting demand. And also, we have discussed two different types of demand, that is, individual demand and market demand. So, we were dealing with the factors affecting individual demand. So far, we have covered three factors. That is the determinants of demand. We have covered three. The first determinant or factor was the price of the product. The second one was price of related goods. And the third one was income of the customer. So we were discussing the point income of the customer. So there we have seen that as the income of the customer increases, the demand also increases. So when we have more money at disposal, we will purchase more items. So that means when the income increases, the demand also increases. But in that context, I also have explained that what kind of goods have an increased demand. Normally, in the normal goods, the superior quality goods have an increase in demand when we have an increase in income. That means when the income of the people increases, they shift from inferior goods to superior goods. So that is what we have seen in the context of factors determining demand. 3 points you have seen. And the next point is taste and preferences. The fourth point is taste and preference of the customers. So normally if a commodity is in fashion, suppose a particular commodity is in fashion, people go for that particular goods. So that is why people have a particular taste for a particular commodity, so they will demand that good more. So taste and preference. Just like now people have more demand for maybe laptop, mobiles and all because of the situation. So there will be more demand for laptops and mobiles. And fashion. Because fashion or technology, whatever you say, sometimes the technology from touch, now you people go for touch screen. Earlier you were having the keypad like that, but the technology enhances also, fashion also when it was changing. So according to fashion, the goods which is in fashion, the demand for that particular goods increases. Okay, so taste and preference of the customer. So taste and preference of the customer is another factor which increase the demand. So if a commodity is in fashion, that is preferred by the customers. So particular commodity, when it is in fashion, so that is preferred by the customer than the other goods. So demand for such good increases which is in fashion. So the demand for such commodity rises. And demand of such commodity falls when there is, I don't have a taste for some sports car and all, so the demand for sports car may decrease. If the preference is for sports car or SUVs and all, then the demand for such kind of vehicle will increase. So taste and preference, when it is favorable, taste and preference become favorable, the demand of that commodity will rise. So that is another factor, that is taste and preference. So this is the fourth factor. Okay, and the last factor which affect the demand, that is individual demand, is future expectation of the customers. Future expectation of the customers, fourth point. What is future expectation of the customer? If you expect that in future a particular goods price may go up, the price of a particular commodity may go up. That is your expectation. Then what you will do? You will buy that item presently. Okay, because you expect that the price of that commodity is going to be increased. So what you will do? You will buy that item now. That means if the future expectation is that the price will increase, the demand of that commodity will be more in the present time. Another, imagine or suppose a commodity is going to become, the price of a commodity is going to be decreased in future. The taxes is going to be some tax exemption is there. So the price of the commodity is going to decrease. That is your expectation. Then what you will do? You will wait for the future to buy it. So you will wait for the price to decrease. So that is future expectation of the customer. So in future, if you expect a decrease in price, so in future, if you expect a decrease in price, you will buy that commodity in future only. That means now the demand is decreasing. Now the demand will be decreased. So in future, if you expect an increase in demand, now the demand will increase because in future you are expecting an increase in the price. So you whatever you want to buy, you will buy now. So that is what future expectation. Moreover, if we expect a suppose shortage, suppose you expect a shortage of rice in future, what you will do? You will store more rice now. That means there will be more increase in the demand of rice. So your future expectation, what is your future expectation? That also affect the demand of a particular price. So if you expect an increase in the price, you will demand now. That means now the demand will be more. And if you expect a decrease in the price, you will shift your demand for future. You will not buy now. So these are the four factors we have discussed in connection with individual demand, factors affecting individual demand. The factors are the first one, price of the particular product, then price of the related goods like substitute goods and complementary goods. And the third point is, what is the third point? Income of the customer. Very good. Income of the customer. Then the fourth point is taste and preferences of the customer. And the last point is future expectation of the customer. So these are the factors which decide the individual demand. So you can say individual demand is the functional relationship of all these factors. So there are several factors which affect the individual demand. So it's a relation, all these factors decide what will be the individual demand. Now going to market demand, what is individual demand? What's the relation between individual demand and market demand? The summation of the individual demand is the total of individual demand in a market is market demand. Suppose in a market there are 25 consumers for a particular product, then all these 25 customers together will constitute the market demand. So market demand is the total of individual demands. So all these factors what we have explained are the factors of market demand affecting market demand also. And there are three more factors which determine the market demand. That is, one of the factor is the population, increase in the number of people. That is one of the factors which affect determinant of market demand is the first one, size and composition of the population. What do you mean by size and composition of the population? If there are more people, there will be more demand for commodities. Do you agree? If there are more people, there will be more demand. So when the population increases, the demand for several products also increases. So an area where there is, thick population is there the market demand will be more compared to a village area in a remote place. So the composition of population and the size of population decide the market demand. What is market demand? Market demand is the total of individual demand. So market demand is the total. So when the population is small, the size of the population is small, there is more demand in the market. What do you mean by the composition of population? Composition means how much male and female ratio, how many children are there, old people are there. That is actually known as composition of population. So if the female population is more, the composition is like that. If the composition is like that, the articles which is used to buy, the commodities which is used by female, that is ladies, will be more. The demand for such items will be more. If all people are more in an economy or in a particular area, the item which is demanded by old people will be, the demand for such item will be more. So like that, size of the population and composition of population is a factor or a determinant for market demand. Okay, that means more people, more demand, and more female people, more commodities which is actually used by them like their clothes and all. More old people, something like related to their use. And another thing is distribution of income. Another factor which affect market demand is distribution of income. Distribution of income means, the disposal of income with the people. So more income with the people, there will be more demand. If the national income, if we assume that the national income is equitably distributed, the income and disposal with people is more. So if the income in their hand is more, there will be demand for more item. So when the income is more, distribution of income is more increasing. Distribution of income is more with the people, their disposable income is more, then the demand will also increase. And another factor, season. Season and weather. According to season and weather, also the market demand may change. The season of rainy season, there are more demand for umbrellas and all. And in the summer season, there will be more demand for air conditioners and refrigerators and all. So that is another point which affect the market demand, that is season and weather. So other than the factors affecting individual demand, we have seen three more additional points which affect the market demand. The additional points are, the first one, size and composition of the population. When the size of the population increases, demand also, market demand increases. I said market demand because it is a total of individual demand. So market demand increases when the size of population is small. Then, a particular season, in a season and weather changes, the item related to that particular season will increase. The demand for that particular item will increase. And the third point we have discussed is distribution of income. When in the country there is an increase in the distribution, national income increases, national income increases, and distribution of income increases, people will spend more. When national income increases, their disposable income also increases. Then they will spend more money to buy more product. Okay, then what will be increased? Market demand will be increased. So the 3 points you have seen in relation with the factors affecting market demand are population size and composition of population, season and weather. Then the last point was distribution of income. So you have seen so far what is individual demand, what is market demand, factors affecting individual demand, and factors affecting market demand. So these are the points you have seen. Okay. Am I presenting my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Yes.
What makes us want to buy more apples or fewer apples? Prices. At $2, we'll say, nah, it's too expensive. Let's just get one. But if price drops to $1, we'll say, cool, let's get 3 apples now. Tastes and preferences. Hey, I saw an advert today. Apples are good for health. All of a sudden, I want to buy more apples. When tastes shift towards apples, demand for apples increases. Price of complements. We say goods are complements of each other when they are normally bought together. For example, printer and ink cartridges, or bread and jam. If bread gets cheaper, what happens to our demand for jam? Well, bread gets cheaper, we buy more bread, so we'll buy more jam. Price of substitutes. Substitutes are goods that are bought for the same purpose. For instance, Pepsi and Coke are substitutes. When price of Pepsi drops, we'll start to think, hey, let's buy fewer cans of Coke and switch to Pepsi. They're the same thing anyway. So when price of Pepsi drops, demand for Coke decreases. Income. You know, we all have this lust for material stuff, and we think that when we make more money, we are going to buy more of this and this and that. These goods are called normal goods. When our income increases, we want to get more normal goods like cars. There's another category of goods called inferior goods. For example, food from roadside stalls. Perhaps your income increases and think, this food is inferior. You have more money, you want to eat in a restaurant now. When our income increases, we demand fewer inferior goods. Expectation of prices.
There's a drought going on in Thailand. Shortage of rice in the near future is expected.
Crap! No rice? Man, I think the price of rice is going to increase. Better go buy and stock up some rice now. So if you think future prices of rice will increase, our demand for rice today increases. Population. When the number of people on an island increases, the demand for houses increases. When population increases, demand for something will increase. So this is the summary. But hey, there are so many factors affecting demand. I'm getting confused. How do I graph the demand curve? If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Next up, the demand curve.
Did you like the video? Did you like the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand? Are you confused? Are you confused? All the points we have discussed, they have discussed, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Individual demand, market demand, and all. Okay. Now, can you see the slide on the screen? Can
No,
you see
ma'am.
the slide on the screen? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we will see the demand, types, and its function. Demand, types, and its function. I hope it is visible to you now. Demand, quantity of a commodity which a consumer is willing to buy at a particular price during a particular period of time. Then demand function. Demand function, as I told you, it's a relation between demand for a product and all variables that affect demand. So it's simply a relation between the demand for a product and all variables. You have seen many variables or factors that affect demand. So demand function, what is demand function? It's simply a relation between demand for a product and all the factors or variables that affect demand. Okay, so that is demand function. There are two types of demand function. The first you have seen individual demand function, and the second you have seen already, that is market demand function. Individual demand function, it shows how demand for a commodity by an individual in the market is related to its various determinants. So, individual demand function simply shows the relation between demand and the factors affecting demand. So, it shows the relation between the individual demand and the factors affecting individual demand. That is why it is written here dx. What do you mean by dx? Demand of commodity X. Demand of commodity X is equal to function of. Demand of commodity X is equal to function of price of that particular commodity. That means price of X, then price of related goods, then income of the customer, then taste and preference of the customer, and future expectation of the customer. So you just remember all the factors that you have studied under the factors determining individual demand. So it's a function of all this. It's a relationship between the relationship between the demand and the factors. The demand of a commodity and the factors affecting that commodity. So these are the factors. It's a function of price of that commodity, price of related goods. Actually, it is better if you write PO, price of other goods or related goods, because PX and PX same here. So you can even write PO, that is price of PR also, price of related goods. So here PX and PX, that may confuse you. So it's a function of price of that particular goods plus that price of that particular goods, not plus. It's a function of all. Price of related goods. Y means income of the customer, T means taste and preference of the customer, and E means future expectation of the customer. So individual demand is a relation of demand and all the other factors. And you know it is being given here. It is given here, price of the commodity. What is PX? PX means price of the commodity. You have already seen price of other goods. That is next component. After that, income of the customer. When the income increases, the demand also increases. Income decreases, demand also decreases. Taste and preference of the customer. The demand for goods and services depends upon individual taste and preferences. What are the individual taste and preferences? They include fashion, habit, custom, etc. So taste and preferences of the customer influenced by even advertisement, change in fashion, climate, and new invention. So just remember, taste and preferences is an important factor which affect demand. Then future expectation. If the customer expects that price in future will rise, he will buy more quantity in present. He will buy more in present because he expects a hike in the price in future. Likewise, if the customer expects that price in future will fall, he will buy less in the present. That means he will postpone the demand. Now let us see what is market demand function. So you have also studied the factors affecting market demand. So what is the function of market demand? That also market demand is a relation between demand and the factors affecting demand. That is why it is the function of price of the commodity, price of related goods, income of the customer, taste and preference of the customer, future expectation of the customer, then population size. Okay, population size, actually in your textbook it is